Hello, fellow nerds, and welcome to our nerdiest thing. Today, we are live with a very special guest, author Kat Long. Back in 2018, Kat had a dream about her boss, a band, and oranges. That dream slowly took shape, and behold, a story was born. She writes strong, confident heroines and badass alpha males with melty centers, Alpha-Marshmallows.
Oh my
Kat
gosh, I
is
love that. I love it. Sorry to interrupt. That's amazing.
Kat is in finances by day and writing by night. Kat lives at the beach with her very own happily ever always, a daughter, and two very irritating but adorable cats. When she isn't writing, she is reading any romance she can get her hands on, watching Animal Planet and Yoga Pants, trying not to overwater her succulents, and wondering if the meaning of life is 42. Welcome to the podcast, Kat. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this for a while.
Can I
Yes,
ask
us
you,
too.
do you water succulents or is that the joke? I'm not a plant
That
person.
no, that is the joke. So
Okay.
succulents are drought tolerant plants. So if you water them too much, they'll die. So, but there's a very fine line between like watering them a teaspoon and they thrive, and then watering them a tablespoon and suddenly like they're on the ground, wilted, dead. So
Right. Yeah, I've never
yeah.
had a plant I didn't kill. So
I was gonna say I'd find a way
Yeah,
to I'd find a way to kill those.
me
yeah.
too.
Yeah,
Me too, for
exactly.
sure. So, Kat, tell us a little bit about the moment that you knew you wanted to become an author or the moment that you decided that you were going to go for it. I know this dream has something to do with it, and I'm really excited to hear about your boss and a band and an orange. So, tell us a little bit about that.
Right. I know, how completely random is that? Well, I mean, I've always enjoyed writing. I would write dreams. I attempted to write poetry. I failed miserably, but I did attempt to do it. So I've always enjoyed writing. And it really wasn't until COVID started that, my daughter was in kindergarten. She was home, her very first year of real school, and she was home. My husband was the office manager for a couple of nightclubs here at the beach, and that was one of the first type of businesses that shut down. So he was
Mm.
home, and then I am working for the same bank, but they sent all of the employees that were not customer facing home. So we had the three of us in the house 24/7, trying to teach her school, trying to work with my husband on finding a new career to move to, me trying to navigate doing work from home, and some had to give. Listen, like
Yeah.
something had to give. And I needed a break. So I was at my mom's house working one day. Michael and my daughter were here, and he was doing a great job teaching her. And I was at my mom's house, and I happened to mention to her that it was really funny that I just kept having a reoccurring dream about my boss. But my mom's eyebrows like went to the roof, and she's like, "Oh, I don't, you sure you need to be telling me this, or you're married, you remember that?" I said, "No, it's not that kind of dream." I said, "So listen, my boss, Mr. Like three-piece suit who has to leave work early on Thursday afternoons to take his kid to soccer practice. Like he tells me that he's in a grunge band, like a Nirvana, like the chain from the jeans, and like he's 50 something years old, and like he always wears a sweater vest or like the sweater vest on Fridays and like the suit jackets. And since he told me that, like I just kept on having a dream that I was at some dive grunge bar, at 3 a.m. and I just would run into him playing and I wouldn't recognize him because, his hair would be all slicked back. And it was just, so I would jokingly told that to my mom. And I said, I keep on having this dream. Like I told my husband, I've told one or two of my coworkers, now I'm telling you. And I said, it's so weird. I've never been the type of person that has reoccurring dreams, and she had just gotten a new computer. So she literally handed me her old laptop and she said, write it down. If you write it down, maybe it'll disappear. Maybe you won't have it anymore. And that was kind of like the beginning of the end, because, it turned into the dream. And then it was like, oh, well, I can make a background character, or, I can have it take place in a bank maybe, or, and then like maybe she should have friends, or maybe it should be he's starting a new job. And I don't know where oranges came in, except like that's what she smells like. She's always eating oranges. She ends up having like a vitamin C deficiency to where she has to eat a lot of vitamin C. So she always has an orange in her hand. But
I love it.
so that's really what happened. So like one chapter turned to 5,000 words, 5,000 words turned into 30,000 words. And then, I was kind of scratching my head and I was telling my husband about it, thinking like, I'm not sure what I was going to do. And he said, well, have you thought about researching what you can do with this to see if you can turn this into, something other than just an outlet
Yeah.
during COVID? And the rest is history. I mean, luckily, y'all know how Romancelandia is. I mean, it's such a tight, knit group of authors who are just phenomenal. And so many very well-known authors are just willing to help newbies. If you just join the right groups, if you ask the right questions, like the support is just overwhelming once you find your tribe. So it definitely took me a couple of years, and I'm still learning every day. But yeah, that's how it started.
I'm dying to know if your boss ever knew. Does he know? I'm assuming he's an ex-boss now, or do you still work for this person?
Yes, yeah. So he got promoted, so he's not with us anymore. But we did have the conversation, and we traded. I was like, okay, so and luckily, and I think that was a higher power saying, don't give your boss a smutty book that was based on him, but it's really not about him. It was just the idea, like, don't do that. But we did. I didn't have any in my car at the time, but we were like exchanging his CD like for my book. But I did tell him about it. His eyebrows got like really wide, but like, he did. I did not go into specifics at all because, listen, there's some lines you don't want to cross. But yeah, he does. He knows.
I love that your character smells like oranges because they have a vitamin deficiency. Because we've talked before about a lot of fantasy male characters smell like citrus, and now in my mind it's going to be canon that it's like they have scurvy, so they have to eat. They have got to eat oranges, and that's why they smell like citrus. Oh man, that's so great.
It's like it drives me bananas sometimes where like he smelled like cedar wood and leather, or like dark chocolate and whatever, and she smelled like lilies and lavender in her hair, and I was like, no, let's make it a little bit more realistic. Like, she smells like oranges because literally there's always one in her hand. She's drinking it, she has the orange, like she does. That's just her. She probably uses orange shampoo. Probably could have added that detail in there just to really drive the point home.
It's better than the Harlequin books, though, whenever everybody smelled like wild dreams and sleepless nights. Like, they smelled like actual smells.
Like spring flowers blooming after a rainstorm.
Right, yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I'm like, I've never smelled like that an entire day of my life.
Me either.
No, like, I don't want to know what I smelled like if it was raining outside and I was out there for a while. Like, nobody needs to know that. It's not good.
It wouldn't be pleasant if it were me.
No, not for anybody.
So you describe your male characters as swoon-worthy Alpha-Marshmallows, and I would love to hear a little bit more about the Alpha-Marshmallow. I love the idea of that, I think. So what does that look like in your writing and in your characters?
Well, it is just a very strong alpha male who just has a warm, gooey center and will do absolutely anything for the woman he loves. Just kind of like, what is it? Is it cinnamon roll? Is that there's another word.
Yeah,
it's like an alpha cinnamon roll or something. So that was kind of like my take on like the cinnamon roll. It's like a marshmallow because you want them to be warm and gooey with a really soft center, but it's only for the person that they love. It's kind of like the burn the whole world down, but just for her.
I love that. So tell us about some of your book series. I know you have an upcoming release, Crush, and that's a second book in a series. Am I right about that?
Yes, that's absolutely right. So my first series, the Southern Charm series, so that was complete. And the second book in the Southern Charm series, By Your Side, the hero's name is Mark. And Mark has 3 other brothers. So this series is a spin-off of the other 3 brothers. So I've written the first one, and they have a mother who's hilarious because their names, the brothers' names, there's Mark, Magnum, Miller, and Maverick. Just in case, you guys wanted to get really complicated. So we had Mark already, and then Magnum's book was released in the summer, and then next we're going to have Miller's book, and that one is going to be released the first part of the year, and then after that we'll dive into Maverick's book.
Nice. And when does Crush come out?
So I'm looking to have it come out the very end of this year, the very beginning of next year. It just depends on how quickly I can write and edit. I have a really good chunk done, probably close to 50,000 words, but I have to write linear. I have a very hard time jumping from scene to scene to scene. So, and it really bites when it comes to writer's block because like I know the characters have to get there, but I don't know how to get them there. And I can't go and write the there scene because like I have to get, so it's But
Yeah, it's never even occurred to me that someone wouldn't write in linear form, but I guess you're
Me
right.
Yeah.
either.
It's like filming a movie, right? You don't film in order. But yeah, I think if now I could never write a book, but I think if I did ever sit down, it would have to be linear because like I have to know how I'm getting there. Because if not, I would be like, well, now I changed my mind on how I'm going to do this. Like I would never settle on an idea. I think if I wrote scene by scene.
Mine would like not make
yeah,
sense because I'd be
that
like,
is
I'm going to change something and then I won't change it in the first half, but only in the second.
it's I feel like that a big part of writing is taking your characters on the journey, and I go on the journey with them. So if I've already written the ending, how are they going to get there? Like they have to grow and develop
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
get there, so like I normally know what's going to happen with the Dark Knight. I normally know what the grand gesture is going to be to get them back to the get together for like the happily for now or the happily forever after. But like I have to write step by step to get them there. I can't just jump in and go to like the smexy time, at the very end for the happily ever after. It's got to be the build up beforehand.
So I know this will be a good question though, because I know Whitney loves an HEA. Do all of your book have happy endings?
Yes, yes, they do. So all of them are
Yay.
either happily ever afters, which ends with the epilogue. Normally, the epilogue is either a pregnancy, a marriage, or a proposal, or happily for now, which is they're still together, and then the epilogue is maybe they just haven't reached the marriage point, but they're definitely still together, still happy, still building their life. With each other. Because I like the idea of not every single romance ending with a marriage or a baby, but every single romance ending
Yeah.
with them together and happy and have had the conversation they want to be together, for the rest of their life.
I like that you say that too, because maybe a baby isn't right for Maverick and whomever his person
Yeah.
is, right?
Yeah.
So I like
Exactly.
that sometimes the for now and whatever you need in that phase of life can be your happy ending. I love hearing
Yep.
that.
Mm-hmm. That is exactly right. And I feel like it gets kind of cliche if you always write the marriage and the babies. There needs to be a little
Yes.
bit of
Well,
difference.
and I'll be honest, I read a book that came out a couple years ago, but I had just gotten to it and it was very, very popular. And then all of a sudden in the epilogue, they had a baby, like for no reason. And I
Mhm.
was like, oh, why'd you do that? Because I didn't feel like the female main character would want to have a baby in that point in her life. Like,
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like,
Mhm. And
yeah.
I mean, you can't have the cookie cutter female characters. You can't have the big, strong male who's going to protect and do anything for them. And then the female is going to, she's going to have the successful career and the white picket fence and 2.5 kids and the dog and the goldfish. Like it doesn't work for everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mhm.
I got the two. I don't have a goldfish or a dog or any of that stuff. So yeah. Well, Kat, we're going to go into our nerdy and dirty speed round. Then we're going to talk
Okay.
about some tough questions around your writing and do some 4 random fun questions. So in our
Okay.
nerdy dirty speed round, I'm just going to give you a prompt and I want you to answer with the first thing that pops in your head. Are you ready?
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Okay. A
Oh,
song you embarrassingly know every word to.
oh my God. Whoop, there it is.
Love it.
That's a great one.
Listen, I'm old enough to where that was back when the cassettes and I had the cassette and I would write down the word lyrics and have to
Oh my
stop it,
gosh.
then back up to go and write it down, even though it said, well, there it is 14 times. I wrote it down 14
I
times
did
fast.
I
I
did
did
that
the
too.
same
It's like
Yeah,
one
thing.
of those things
100%.
that when you do that, when you waste an entire composition notebook of nothing but,
Well, there
90s
it
rap
is.
song lyrics, they just stick. So you just know them.
Do you
I
remember
love
those
that.
sitting with your like tape player and you'd have like your finger on the record and
Yep.
stop button at the same time? You
Mhm.
can't let go. And I remember calling into the radio station for Ice Ice Baby. I just needed to get it. Right. And they would not play the damn song. And I was so mad because I sat there for hours with my finger on the record and stop, and your hands are all cramping. And yeah. Yeah. But
That was actually my parents' reason for I remember finally getting like the boom box in my bedroom because we had like a really big, sound system in the living room that had like the 4 CD changers where you thought you were like really big time and like the dual deck of the cassette tapes where you could record one off the other, the CD. Now, I
The
remember,
fancy
like, it was the
system.
Casey Kasem's top 40, like, I'd be sitting on the floor in the living room, like, with the play and the record button, just waiting for the songs on the radio that I wanted to record. And finally, my parents were like, "This is ridiculous. We're getting one for your room, so then you
Quit
can do all of that
monopolizing our
in there."
fancy stereo.
And now that we all have children, I'm like, oh, I wish that was like all they did in the living
I
room.
know.
instead of,
I
like,
know, right?
everything
I
else is
know.
loud. Okay. What fictional
Yeah, like,
character?
my room still grab my oh, sorry. No, go
Sorry,
ahead. Sorry, I
can
was
you
going
repeat
off on
that
a
again?
tangent.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead and repeat that.
No, what was I going to say? Oh, I said, oh, now my little with YouTube Music, you can just hit show me the lyrics and they're right there, and it's not
Yeah.
fair.
These kids
It's
have
not
it so
fair.
easy.
They
But
definitely
they're not
do.
going to remember the way that we do, though, because they're not
Yeah.
writing it down 10 times.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what fictional character do you have a crush on?
Oh my goodness. Draco Malfoy.
Oh.
I'm just a Harry Potter nerd. I'm a part of the Harry Potter fandom. I know way too much about Harry Potter, and Draco is he's
Have
just
you
my
read
guy.
any
He's
of
the boy
this
that had no
fanfic?
choice.
Have you read the fanfic like Manacled?
Oh my goodness. Oh, Manacled. I tried. Manacled is phenomenal, and I tried desperately to read it, but I'm not a dark romance reader.
Right.
They bother me a lot. But I read as much as I could of Manacled, and then I totally went. I'm a member of her a Facebook group, and I got all the spoilers, so I know what happens. And that the writing that I read was phenomenal, and she is phenomenal. But that was a little bit too much for me. But I'm always reading a fan fiction book and a published book. Like
Oh, I
there's
love
always
that.
there's
That's
always
really
two.
cool.
Mhm.
So I might know the answer to this then, but what is a book series you always recommend?
So if you're going to go with like a smutty book series, well, I mean, we can just go ahead and say that most of the answers to these questions will probably be Harry Potter. So, so moving on from that, if I was going to recommend like a smutty series, Lauren Landish, the Tannen Boys and the Bennett Brothers, that series is just phenomenal. It was one of the very first romance series that I read, and like I fell in love. She's one of my one-click authors. And then if you're going like non-romance, and then there's a really great author. His name is James Rowlands, and he writes the Sigma Force series, which is like very military. It's very suspenseful. It has a lot of technology and a lot of advancements, and like those are really, really good books too.
Oh, I'll have to look at those. Okay, so are you an early bird or a night owl?
I'm definitely an early bird.
Do you write in the morning too?
So that was one thing that kind of spoiled with me when I was working from home, is that I had the option to always have my laptop, beside my work computer. So if something happened, I could take, 10 minutes and, bang out 1,000 words or whatever, and then just jump right back into, work. But now that I'm back into the office, 50, 75% of the time, it's been very hard to adjust to writing outside of like working hours. So
Yeah.
sometimes I will write early in the morning if I can, how quickly I can get, my little office school, and sometimes I can make it to the office before like the day starts, and I can do a little bit, but mostly it is at night.
Okay, what is the
After
last
the dinner and the baths and the bed.
Right,
Yeah.
right. After all that, and we're so tired, right?
Mhm.
Because we've taken care of other people all day long. What is the last movie you watched?
Okay, so the last movie I watched that is not Harry Potter, because Michael Gambon just died, so they're doing like the
Yeah.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
series
Michael
has been on
Gilman.
TV. I know. So it wasn't a movie, but my husband and I just recently binged the last series of The Witcher, which was really good.
Oh,
We went
yeah.
through it in like 2 days.
Henry
Yeah.
Cavill. Oh, yeah. All right. Name a food you refuse to eat.
Shrimp.
That's what that's the only food my son won't eat as well. He doesn't like the texture. What
Oh,
what paranormal power would you want to have?
that's tough. I'm going to say I wouldn't limit it to one. I would just say I would want the power of magic. So I'd want magic to be able to harness, the elements, or harness like telepathy, or like just magic to learn
I like that.
everything.
That's like the loophole of give me
Yeah.
more wishes.
Yeah.
That's a smart one.
That's a great answer.
Kat, what's your favorite ice cream flavor?
Oh, cookies and cream.
Hmm.
And do you believe in aliens?
Absolutely. I have never had a encounter before, but I mean, what is that, the line from that movie with Jodie Foster? Like, if we're the only people or if we're the only ones out there, then it's an awful waste of space, you know? So
Offline, we'll have to talk. Me and my son, right before I got on to record, we're talking about the pyramids because he was watching a YouTube theory about aliens, and so I was explaining why people think that. So we'll talk offline about that. That could be an interesting conversation. What was
definitely.
what was your favorite childhood book?
Oh, so I loved the Goosebumps. I loved R.L. Stein. And then the what was the rabid Banicula. Did you ever read the Banicula
Oh,
series?
yeah.
The rabid vampire where he would suck the juices from the vegetables with the carrots. And I loved that
You're
series when I
so
was a kid.
smart.
Mhm.
You're so smart. Okay, what is the worst job you've ever had?
Worst job I've ever had. Oh my goodness. That's tough. So when I was in high school, I it was my very first like food service job, and it was at like a fast food Japanese restaurant. And like the food, you know how good like Japanese food is, the fried rice and the steak and the chicken, but like smelling that stuff all day and then cleaning and then really seeing like the behind the scenes of what you have to do, like all the stuff you have to clean, where everything comes from, like it's just it was not great.
Please don't tell us.
Oh, no, it was nothing bad, but I just felt like, I lost the ooh, let's go get Japanese food to like, okay.
So you
Right.
feel like
Yeah.
I don't want to smell that right now.
Someone's got to
Yeah,
scrub
exactly.
all that oil off of that later. I don't want to make them do that. Yeah. Okay. So final question in the speed round. Tell us an author that you always fangirl over.
Oh my goodness, that's tough. So definitely Laura Landish, but when it comes to like super fangirling, I love Claire Kingsley. I love Nicole Snow. I love Lucy Score. I love Pippa Grant. There's so many that, I get the little notification they have a book releasing and I squeal like a 15-year-old because I'm so excited.
Well, you were talking about one-click authors, and I posted this in our Instagram stories a couple weeks ago. But when you go to Amazon, you go to your account, and it's like all of your orders. And literally, I've got like 2 pages of like pre-orders of books because all of these one-click authors are coming out with books this fall and this spring. And I'm like, well, I know pre-orders are really important, so I'm just going to support the author and go ahead and get that book.
Doing your parts.
That's
Yes.
right. That's right. Yeah. Well, we will make space in the house as long as we can support other artists, right?
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Okay. Well, let's go into our 3 tough questions. And these are mostly about writing. Okay.
Mhm.
So, can you tell us a little bit about the most embarrassing or odd thing that you've ever had to research for a book?
Most embarrassing or odd thing that I had to research. So that would have to be the very first time I read about butt stuff.
That is classic. That's awesome.
And of course, that's something that you can't really research unless you're just willing to watch a whole lot of porn, which
Oh, shucks. That sounds awful.
I mean, you can just like go to the Wikipedia page and get like the step-by-step instructions. Like you put something like that in your search bar and then you're just bombarded with video.
Yeah.
Like, where's that's a con, or I'm sorry, a panel we need to do at Lit next year is how to write about butt stuff.
Like I didn't know that it was such a thing. Like you can't just have butt stuff. There has to be the talk and then the prep and then this and then the other. Like it's like this whole thing. It's like you can't. It's very taboo to do butt stuff unless you do the butt stuff prep. And I just
Right.
learned a lot.
So Cassie Alexander, she's an indie author, and in her Make Her series, in the second book, there's some butt stuff, and I didn't know everything like you have to do to prepare for that, and they made it sound all right. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, okay, well, if they're gonna do all that, and that sounds okay. Like, you always just envision, them just going for it, which sounds awful, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, and this may be the same answer, but what's the trickiest thing about writing characters of the opposite sex?
Oh, that one's tough too. So, and you know what I did to really help me learn how to write guys is I read a lot of MM romance. where both
That's
main
great.
characters were guys. I mean, a phenomenal, M.M. Romance author is A.M. Johnson. She is amazing. And, her writing helped give me the confidence to really embrace, guys, because that's very hard because you want to make sure that you're doing like the alpha protector, justice, but then that all of their thoughts are not, don't touch my wife kind of mentality. They have to have the softer side, but then you have to balance it out with they're not going to have a gab session if they go to the bar with guys. They're going to throw darts and they're going to, rib each other. They're not going to have like, so guys, I'm really, want to know, I really want to take the next step with her, but I don't know what to do.
Can you imagine?
A heart to heart.
Yes.
Right. Well, I mean, really any details. And my husband's not like an alpha male in any type of way, but he'll like come home and he'll be like, oh, so and so had a baby. And I'm like, well, what's their name? And he's like, I don't know. And I'm like, how much did it weigh? I don't know. Is mom doing okay? No. And I'm like, awesome. I'll call her. Thanks for all the details.
Yeah, my husband's like, I've given you all the information that I have.
Right,
That's
yeah.
it. That's all I got.
I heard baby and I brought you that information.
Right.
Anita, you're welcome. And then you tell me to go figure
Right.
out.
Exactly. Okay, so final question in our tough question portion. What do you feel is the most challenging thing about writing romance?
Oh, another thing that I didn't know about romance until I really started digging into it is that there's steps, like there's certain criteria that you have to meet for it to be considered like a romance. And I did not know that. Like I didn't know that there was a blueprint, especially a lot of readers that, just read, they can go through a 400-page book in a day. They just voraciously devour anything they can get their hands on, and they like to see the certain things. They like for you to hit the beats. Like they have to have the push pull, they have to have the dark night, they have to have the breakup to realize that they're better together, and then when I realized that and I was reading romance books, and I was like, yeah, this is exactly right. It's all different, but the bones are there. So then it's almost trying to teach yourself how to write to those bones without it being the same as the 47,000 other books that are out there, and keeping true to yourself, and maybe you don't want them to completely break up, so they have to have a miscommunication, and miscommunications drive me bananas. Like if the
Me
big
too.
fight can be resolved with like an honest conversation, that drives me bananas. But like you can't, some big fights, like there's no coming back from. There are some words that you can say that you cannot take back, so it's very hard finding that balance with, like it has to be more than miscommunication, but it can't be something devastating, that's gonna break them apart forever. So it was learning how to write to the beats, how to keep the bones the same while, bringing my own voice to everything.
Yeah, it's hard too as a reader because Elle Mitchell, who will be at Lit, she has a third act breakup in one of her books. And I'm very, very careful with my Kindle because it's my lifeline, and I threw it. I was so mad. I told her, I messaged her and I was like, Elle, I just threw my Kindle across the couch, but I'm going right back to it. Don't worry. But what the hell are you doing to me right now? Like, and it's hard, and because you become so invested as the reader into what those characters are doing. And, if one of them messes up, you're like, wait, you're not that person. Like, what are you doing to me? Like, but she's really bringing it back together. So.
And I know that sometimes like you get that angst, you get that big breakup, and it makes it even better when they get back together. But
That is true.
it's a very fine line between a forgivable offense and not a forgivable offense, and that's just, you always want to make sure that you are doing, romance landia justice when you put your work out there, that you're following the things and doing right by everybody. It's tough. I mean, it's taken
It's high
something.
pressure.
You're confirming for me that I can never write a book.
I know, me
All
too.
these conversations confirming for me. I mean, I don't have it in me anyway, but I'm like, gosh, I would have never thought about all of that.
I think I could write a book, but I think it would suck.
Well, I guess we could all write a book. Could we write a
Right,
Yeah.
right.
You definitely can. I mean, listen, mine started with, like I said, my mother shoving a computer in my face and saying, I don't think I want to hear about a dream about your boss. Can you just write it down? And
Now, do you let your mom read? Do you let your mom read your sex scenes?
So my mother is one of my biggest supporters, but she won't read the books. So the very first chapter one of the characters uses the F word in a non-sexual way, and mom, like, she closed it. She's like, I got that far. So I'm gonna buy them, and I'm gonna
You know
share all the
what?
things on Facebook, and I'm gonna do, but she won't read them. Now, my aunt, on the other hand, my aunt is one of and my sister, they read my books. They love the books. They share some stuff with me. My aunt was my first true alpha reader, and it was so awesome because, like, she needed the print to be bigger, so she would print out the chapters that I would send her, and then
Aw.
she'd mark them up with red, change this, change this, change this, and then she'd send it back to me, before I found my editor. I mean, she's been one of my absolute biggest
I love
supporters.
that.
That's
Mhm.
That's really
awesome.
great.
Mhm.
Well, Kat, we're going to move on to a section we call 4 random questions, and it is exactly how it sounds. These are super random questions. And I'm going to start out with one. You've already said that you believe in aliens. So if you met an alien from another planet or wherever
Mhm.
and had to describe humans in one sentence, what would you say?
God, Mindy, that's a hard question.
That's a really hard question. Oh my goodness. It would almost have to be something along the lines of, oh my goodness. Listen, because I want to say something about, like, humans can be very smart intellectually and very stupid when it comes to emotional intellect, but then you don't want to say something that, will make us seem, oh, I don't know.
I
I'm not
actually
going to
like
take
that
a hard
answer.
pass on that one. Like I would be that, like, to prep for that answer. Goodness.
I feel like I would just be
Be
like,
responsible for
see,
giving
I would be
alien
like,
life out there.
we're dumb but cute.
There you go.
See, I was thinking something along the lines of that, Whitney, where I'd be like, we fuck up a lot and we're sorry.
It's like, we know, we're sorry.
Yeah.
Kat, I
Oh,
liked your answer.
those are all
Yeah.
good. Those are all good. All right. What is one thing that you will never do again?
What is one thing that I will never do again? That's a tough. You guys are killing me.
Sorry.
That's one thing that I would never do
We
again.
kept going in the tough question genre, apparently.
Yeah, I guess we did.
One thing that I would never do again, because I'm trying to, like, not do something books, like do something personal, but, like, I feel like I haven't done enough stuff that I've absolutely 100% hated to where I say I'll never ever do this again.
Is
Well,
there
that's
anything
kinda
on your
awesome.
list
That is
you-
awesome.
What's your main bucket list item then, Kat? Like, what do you want? What's one thing you
Yeah.
have to do?
I would love to be able to skydive, to go skydiving. I think that that would be phenomenal. And I don't have a fear of heights, but I feel like I have a fear of heights if it's thousands of feet in the
If it's
I
a
have
air.
a
free
fear of the
fall.
ground.
And there's
Right.
a window, and there you go. I'd want to,
Yeah.
I would be attached to my person like a koala. Like I would be and have
That's why
somebody
they
else
do
sit
those
down the
panda
window.
ones, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. I don't know if I could ever do that by myself, because I don't know if I would ever be able to have the fortitude to, like, jump. I mean, I could definitely do it koala on somebody else, like tandem.
This next one I think you might find a little easier. It's got a pretty
Mhm.
specific answer that you
Mhm.
should know, but it's one of my favorite questions. Describe your personal style in middle school.
Oh my gosh, my personal style in middle school. And braces, which was fantastic. Oh, a lot of denim, a lot of polo shirts.
Polish
shirts.
shirts.
Yes, like I had the polo shirts. I remember,
Oh, polo.
like, the
I thought you
ones and
said
they had, like,
Polish.
different striped colors, and, like, that was when you actually had, like, you really wanted to get, like, polo symbol. It couldn't just be like the Walmart polo shirt. Like, it needed to be like the polo shirt.
Like American Eagle and Abercrombie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it had to have the logo, had to have sneakers, but they had to be white sneakers. So, like, then, like, they get dirty and have to wash when they turn gray, and then you wouldn't want them to turn gray. Gray sneakers, mom, we need white sneakers. And then, like,
Yeah.
thought I could be really smart and, like, put white out on my sneakers, and it didn't work. And I still had to wear it.
Yeah.
I love that.
I'm with you on that
That-
one.
Yeah, I would say, like, a complete nerd from elementary school. 100%. Like, there was no style. There were denim and polos and sneakers and braces and short hair. All the things.
Me too. I had a Dorothy Hamill haircut. Like it was really like
So you were so
Yeah,
pretty,
it was
Whitney.
it
like a
was yeah,
crochet.
like
Yeah.
it was like a
Mhm.
bowl cut kind of,
Yeah.
but not really.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
really wish I saw pictures of that.
They
Um,
exist.
I think you have seen one. I think I have it on my phone.
Oh, that's right. Yes, I have seen one. You are so cute.
Thanks.
Okay, our final random question, and this one is super random. If you had to
Mhm.
swap your legs with the legs of any other animal, which one would you choose?
The legs of any other animal.
Any animal. Yeah, you'd be yourself, but with animal legs. What would they be?
Self with animal legs. You know what? It would be awesome to swap my legs with a giraffe.
I was thinking the
Oh, yeah.
same thing. They
That's a
have
good
nice
answer.
skinny legs. Long,
Exactly.
skinny
Like they
legs.
have like the muscular calves, the skinny legs, like the well-defined thighs. Like, I mean,
Nice.
yeah, it'd
I'm
be
right
cool
on
though.
board with that.
I feel like my ass would just be hanging over the back, though. That would be because I would still have all my badonkadonk back there, and then just these really
Just with nothing to hold it up.
I'd be like falling backwards constantly.
Oh my
Oh
God.
man,
Oh
that's
my
funny.
Wait.
goodness. I love it. I love that question. So we know you're writing the rest of the books in your series where Crush is the second one. Tell me again
Mhm.
what the name of that series is.
So the second series is the Southern Sparks series.
The
The
Southern
first one was
Spark
Southern
series.
Charms, and this is
Okay.
Southern Spark. Yep, and they all
Do you
take place
have
in Charleston.
Oh,
Great.
nice.
Mhm.
Do you have any other or like books that you're thinking about writing in your brain, or
Well,
just kind of focused on that?
I'm definitely in a part of a couple anthologies. So I have one, two, three anthologies coming out before the end of the year. So I'm definitely going to consistently be putting work out there. But as far as the books that I have planned, I just have Crush, which is going to be Miller's book, and then Combust, which is going to be Maverick's book. And then hopefully by the time I start Maverick's book, I'll have an idea of where I want to go from there. Because like in Miller's book, the heroine works at a prep school. So now I was thinking that potentially I could do, the other teachers at the prep school, because I really love the idea of interconnected standalones, of
Yeah.
having kind of
Yeah.
everything in a shared world and they're all connected to their little Easter eggs. But I don't have anything else planned after Maverick's book, but I will. It'll come.
Well, you've got plenty on your plate there. So,
Yeah, just one or two things.
so we are going to see you in Lit in. By the time this airs, it'll already be done, but we're going to see you in a few days, actually. Do you
Mhm.
have any other festivals that you're going to, or any projects or book signings that you have coming up?
Yes. So I was just at Authors in the Haunted City in Wilmington yesterday,
Cool.
actually, which was fantastic. And then I'm doing Lit this weekend, and then I'm going to Graceland on October 20th.
Oh,
So
cool.
I'm really excited about that one. I've never been to Nashville before, so that one's going to be, or Memphis. That one's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
And then those are the only signings that I have for 2023. Next year, I'd love to do Lit again. I did it last year, and I love it. See, next year I'm going to Seattle. I'm going to Pennsylvania and Georgia.
Oh, wow. You're busy.
I love the book signings. I mean, it's
I
just,
know.
it's
They're
such a
fun.
fun,
They're super fun.
it is. And just really being able to connect with readers and, other authors. And, especially when there's famous ones there, and you can really, really fangirl over them. Like I remember something I did when I did my first book convention as a reader, and I went to Indies Invade Philly. Now a couple of the authors that were at Indie Invades Philly when I was a reader, or when I went as a reader, are going to be at Lit as a signing author. So I'm just gonna have to remember that, like, I'm not too, like, I don't have to go up there and
You're going to have people fangirling over you.
one day. That is the plan.
You never know when it's going to happen. So, where's the best place for readers to buy your books?
And so all of them are on Amazon. So all of the books are Kindle Unlimited, and then I have you can buy the ebooks, of course, and then I have the paperbacks as well.
Awesome. Do you have any reader groups on social media, like either Facebook or Instagram or Discord even?
Yes, I sure do. I'm on like a bunch of Discord servers. I don't have my own Harry Potter. But I am on Discord a lot, but not as Cat. But yeah, so I have my Facebook group. My Facebook group is just called Cat Longs Between the Covers.
Ooh, I like that.
So yeah, so I'm definitely there. Like I
Nice.
have I'm on all the social media, including the TikTok, which I'm trying desperately to navigate, but TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and
It's a
all
lot.
the things.
All the things.
like it's tough.
So we know you're a Potterhead, right? Do you have any other fandoms that you are a part of that you enjoy, or is it just mostly Harry Potter?
Well, I mean, it's Harry Potter's definitely
Number
up there.
one.
Yes, definitely number one. But let me see. So I'm big into the X-Files fandom. I love the X-Files. I love David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson. They're fantastic. I'm really big into Lord of the Rings. I'm a Trekkie more than Star Wars. And one thing that I'm watching with my daughter right now, and I forgot how much I loved it, is Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Like,
Oh, it's one of my
gosh,
favorites.
This comes up like once a week for Whitney
Yeah.
because she's never watched it, and we're like, "What is wrong with you? Watch Buffy!" Like it's
All
so
these
good.
authors are telling you to watch
I
it.
know.
Buffy is so good, and it's like I'm getting to relive it as an adult. Now that I'm watching it with my little, and it's so funny. Mom, I know they did that with the green screen. Okay, because I didn't. Like when I watched it.
Oh, yeah, I have to warn my daughter sometimes that when we're watching like Buffy or Doctor Who, I'm like, just remember they did not have the same like special effects
Technology.
that they have now, right?
I think that's one of the reasons that makes it good for like younger ones. It's because the special effects, it's kind of like going back and watching Jaws. Like there's no way to, like Jaws versus what's the series or what's the movie? The Meg.
The Meg.
Like just
Oh.
the Meg
Yeah.
or like the Meg 2, that's the second one. Listen, the books were phenomenal. The books
That's
are
what
really
I've heard. I've heard those books are amazing. We have a friend that always wants to go see that in the theater with us, and it's because he's a fan of the books.
the books are great. So Steve Alton just released Meg Generations, which I want to say is the 7th.
Oh wow.
I did not realize there were that many of
I
them.
didn't either.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
fantastic. Yeah, Meg Generations.
Do you
They're-
have
they're-
those behind you? That's amazing.
Oh yeah, I know. I have. Yeah, there's James Rowland's Harry Potter, of course, and then the Meg is up there too. My books are like over that shelf.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
So for our final question, on our podcast, we always end, all three of us say what our nerdiest thing of the week is. And it could be anything. It could be book related. It could be something we did or something we said. Sometimes it's something our kids did. We would just love to hear what your nerdiest thing of the week was.
Nerdiest thing of the week. So it would have been a Tuesday or Wednesday. My daughter comes into the living room like stomping her foot and all irritated about something, and I'm like preparing myself for the latest 4th grade drama. And she hands me her Switch and she's like, Mom, I can't figure this out. I just need you to do it. And I'm like, sure, because I can do that. Let's see. And she had Super Mario Brothers, and I forgot how much I loved Super Mario Brothers. So I ended up playing my 9-year-old Switch until she went to bed that night. Like for a couple.
No, I'm
I
still
just-
beating stuff. You can't have this back. I'm helping you right
Like,
now.
no,
I'm still
like,
helping.
no,
Right.
you have to wait until I get past like the lava level. Like, no, where you don't have to. I'll do this. I don't want to frustrate you. Let me help you.
That's awesome.
So ruin my streak.
But yeah, a
That's
couple of
great.
hours, but I just completely, and I think that I've actually put it in the drawer. Like this can't be like my new thing. I can't be, I have writer's block. Let me play Switch for a few hours.
The Switch will help. That's great.
Cat Long's new book. It's a romantic fantasy in Mario Land.
Yeah.
It's all about pipes and tunnels, you guys.
That isn't like alluding to.
Well, Kat, thank you so much for being on with us tonight. We are
Mm-hmm.
we have enjoyed talking to you, and we're really looking forward to seeing you in person.
Yeah, definitely. We will see you soon. Thanks so much for having me, y'all. I appreciate it.
Bye. Have a great night.
Bye. Yeah, bye everybody.